There are two great poles of conscience in man: the psychic center, whose brain is the functional matrix in a situation of incarnation, and the heart center, including the emotional plexus, but we will say here the emotional heart is the functional matrix in a situation of incarnation. Let us first consider things from the point of view of the immortal spirit. How things arise The immortal spirit is naturally polarized in the psychic center. It is the siege, so to speak, of will and intelligence, and it is with the will and the intelligence that must be interacted with the vastness of reality in all its content. By nature, serenity is the basic quality of the psychic center, and therefore the natural quality of the immortal spirit, in its situation vis-vis itself and in its relationship with reality. The immortal spirit envisages its interactions with reality in a psychic state which is always serene. And it is since this serenity that the spirit will perceive and act, study and understand, organize and operate. That is to say that it is since this serenity that the spirit will use its capacity for will and its capacity for intelligence in its interactions and in its actions within the real. The spirit plans and organizes. The spirit constructed and destroyed. The spirit invents and innovates. The spirit reproduces and improves. The spirit manages and uses. It is capable of desire and pleasure, although the desire and the pleasure in question are of a radically different and superior to the emotional affects that these words suggest. The mind does all this by handling its capacity for will and its capacity for intelligence, and all its other capacities proceed from will and intelligence, and are modalities or extensions of will and intelligence. The immortal spirit is naturally polarized in its psychic center, but to say things so is to say them. The psychic center is the functional central of the spirit. It is the central unity whose substantial fact is truly the spirit itself. Everything else can understand itself as the body of the mind, or as the energy matrix which extends and unfolds certain feature aspects withdrew and therefore condensed from the functional power plant. So, it is an erroneous formulation to say that the mind is polarized in the psychic center, because in reality, literally, the immortal spirit is the psychic sun itself, sun around which an energetic matrix is developing, which prolongs it and which explains certain condensed aspects. But let us still retain the approximate expression: the immortal spirit is naturally polarized in the psychic center. Within the energetic matrix, the body of the mind, we find in the center of this matrix an energy unit which is in a way specialized in the expression of the sensitivity aspect of the mind. The quality of sensitivity cannot express themselves to the psychic center because the immortal nature, indestructible, of the psychic sun imposes at the psychic center what can be called an energetic field of pure serenity. Nothing can disturb the natural serenity that reigns in the psychic center, although the quality of sensitivity is present among all the qualities of the psychic sun. As this quality of sensitivity is an intrinsic aspect of the fundamental quality of consciousness, the psychic sun creates within the energy matrix a specialized energy center which allows the exteriorization and the expression of this particular quality. This energy center is the heart center. The heart center is the center of sensitivity within the mind, and the impregnation of intelligence within this center gives it the capacity to recognize beauty within reality in different forms and to react to it by various and varied nuances of pleasures and joys. Always remember that the immortal spirit is naturally polarized in the psychic center, and you have to understand what it implies, namely, that the immortal spirit is not muffled by its heart center, but it moves from its psychic center, the spiritual heart center. Therefore, the heart of the immortal mind does not react to everything is going while the immortal spirit is interaction with reality. The qualitative state of the immortal spirit during its interactions with reality is a deep state of serenity. There is certainly a serene joy at the bottom of the mind, but this serene joy is not a reaction of the spiritual heart. To interaction with reality, it is the natural energy activity mixed of the spiritual heart and the spiritual sun, the psychic center, when the immortal spirit identifies, by its intelligence, something particularly beautiful within the real, with which it is interaction, or simply in relation to. Perception. And entering into a relationship of perception with this beauty, from the heart. We can say that the immortal spirit deliberately arises to contemplate the something particularly beautiful that identified. To contemplate this something with his heart. If the immortal mind decides to refocus in his heart without having previously identified something particularly beautiful, and if he decides to enter into a perception with reality from his heart, her heart goes by himself, refining his perception and capturing beauty species that can hide in the heart of banal things. In any case, when the immortal spirit is refocused in the heart and gets into a perception relationship with reality from the heart reacts by various shades of pleasures and joys in contact with perceived beauty. And love is the name that must be given to this energetic mixture of pleasures and joys emanating from the heart. In response to the perception of beauty within reality, love is therefore a moment. It is not the permanent state of the immortal spirit. In normal times, the immortal spirit is deeply serene, and it is in this deep state of serenity that it uses its capacity for will and its capacity for intelligence to act and interact within reality. From time to time, the immortal spirit can be refocused in the heart. It is an intentional act, and when the immortal spirit refocused in the heart enters into a relationship of perception with reality, the heart reacts to reality by various intensities and various nuances of love, depending on whether perceived beauty is more or less large, more or less refined, more or less splendid. Love is the energy response of the heart in the face of beauty. And this energy response is a kind of energetic flame of which it is possible to characterizing the radiation. If this love should be expressed in some way, or if we had to express the beauty perceived by the heart in a state of love, this expression, regardless of form, would itself be something beautiful. For example, love or reality perceived in love naturally gives beautiful music if it inspires music, beautiful poems if it inspires poetry, beautiful paintings if it inspires painting. You have to technically understand what love is. The immortal spirit refocused in the heart perceives the real, and the intrinsic qualities of the heart make that only the aspects of beauty are taken into account in this perception of reality. And it is information, light information, this luminous information is, therefore captured by the heart, treated by the heart, worked by the heart to generate the energetic flame of love in the heart. The vibrations that emanate from this flame of the heart are themselves charged with the beauty information. And therefore, any translation of these vibrations in various forms of expression will give something beautiful. If we see things from the point of view of the relationship between two entities, the more the behavior will be inspired by the vibrations of love, the more it will express beautiful qualities, delicacy, tenderness, softness, finesse, simplicity, playful, preset, respect. A lot of respect. So that the relationship are really beautiful, it is necessary that each of the two entities are really capable of love, and of a pure love. In terms of immortal minds which live in their nature, the capacity of pure love is perfect. It is the ability to love with pure love when an immortal spirit is not voluntarily refocused in the heart. It is in a deep state of serenity, in fact, serene joy, and it uses of his will and his intelligence. And he uses it with kindness when he comes from interactions with other minds, and with pure efficiency when it comes to interactions with real in general. When an immortal spirit is refocused in his heart and enters into a relationship of perception with reality, his heart creates love. and the immortal spirit can handle the vibrations that emanate from the flame of love that his heart creates and impregnate all his expressions, especially in his relationship with other minds. And his ability to do this is perfect. To love is exactly this, to ensure that your relationship to the other is inspired by the vibrations of love that burns in your heart, which love is basically a reaction of your heart to the perception of the beauty of the other. And of grace, there is no question here of a banal reduction in beauty in physical, what is perfect in terms of immortal minds living in their nature is no longer as perfect for minds embodied in human complexions. In a situation of incarnation, the emotional heart prevails over the spiritual heart, and the heart emotional reacts to everything, not only to beauty, and this emotional heart produced all kinds of energy flames, not only the specific flame of love. The emotional heart of the human being can produce love, but most of the time this love is never pure. It is intermittent and vacillating, and it is easily and regularly obliterated by other feelings. Far from love, hatred, aversion, animosity, detestation, distrust, suspicion, jealousy, resentment, bitterness. It means that if you like a person, the beauty you perceive in this person who has therefore aroused love in your emotional heart, you could find yourself want this person sometime later. Because in the flood of your interactions, your emotional heart has generated more other feelings that he has generated love, until the love rapes many, even disappears completely at a given moment. The emotional heart reacts to everything. And within the incarnation, few people are really able to express beauty in a preponderant way in their lives. It is normal for love to be fragile in the emotional heart of human beings. The person who wants to live with his heart, that is to say, who wants to favor his heart as a center from which he leads his interactions with. The context of the incarnation is a person who necessarily suffers, and most human beings suffer in their lives, saved from depression by the capacity of their instinctive instincts to create pleasures with simple interactions, and can make happiness well fragile always by betting on the ability to the pleasures of their instinctive body. This point must be well understood. The emotional heart alone generates much more suffering than love within the incarnation, especially because producing beauty is very difficult in incarnation for ordinary humans, but the instinctive instance has a great ability to generate pleasures. And it is thanks to this that human beings can still succeed in making a little happiness within their incarnation, without ever being really capable of love pure. In ordinary humans, the magnetic gravity of the emotional heart is so strong that the consciousness of the ordinary human being is naturally polarized in the emotional. It takes solid spiritual work for being polarized in his spiritual sun, his psychic center, and finds the state of predominant psychic serenity of the immortal spirit that he is. Emotional man is the ordinary human being whose consciousness is polarized in emotional, while man of will is the spiritual practitioner who is in the process of lastingly refocusing his consciousness in his spiritual sun. And it will take a great strength of will so that human beings are able to strengthen his heart emotional deeply and to cure your emotional heart of the tendency to react madly to everything. If the emotional heart remains indifferent to what is not an expression of beauty, and if it remains fully sensitive to all expression of beauty, it is then in the image of the spiritual heart, and love will be the only feeling that will vibrate within it. The truth is that only this feeling is really necessary. The rest can be managed with serenity by will and intelligence, but in the heart, only love should be enough. No need for other feelings in the inner field of the heart. Love what is worthy of being loved. Detach yourself. So stop reacting. Detach yourself from any form of ugliness, but keep intact the ability to react to any form of beauty. And let sharp intelligence help correctly identify beauty and distinguish it from ugliness.